Glow with KFLO joined. You're the first person. Been to Agne. Hi. How are you all? How is everybody? Amy Nelson. Wow, these Kathy Morano, Renee Bunting, Matt Jacoby. Hi, friend. Hi, Matt Jacoby. Indeed a friend. Thank you, Matt. Helen from Ireland. Brendan Finn, 4 others. Hello from Florida. Ellen. Shayna, I think it is. Hi, everybody. Diana Brandley from Berlin. Grüß Gott. Sally 2300. Stormy, Pennsylvania. Minnie Numa. I messed that up. I'm sorry. Anyway, I want to thank you all. Hi, Norway. Wow. Hi from Pennsylvania. Patsy and Stitches. Hello, everybody. Hi, Wanda. Ciao. Nippy from Dayton, Ohio says hi. Legan Droll, New York City. Hi, beautiful. Wow. Hi back at you, beautiful. Mary Ann. Hi, Maria. Marcia from Toronto. Carrie Ann from Bakersfield. Roberta from Jersey. Costa Rica. I love your books. Thank you. Bren Hauska from Ohio. Colony, New York. Barcelona. I love reading where everybody's from. Folsom, California. Hola, hi from Minnesota. Mary Harding, 604. Hi from France. Blessings from Orlando. What an incredible, hello from Italy. Look at this community on here. God bless, Manhattan Beach. Jim from Arizona. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join me today. I'm in New York. It's kind of rainy, a little bit dreary, kind of cloudy. I'm sitting in front of the window in my hotel. I just wanted to thank everybody, first of all, for your support of Mosh, my new protein bar that I just ate one. Yummy, brain for the bar for the brain. Gah. Anyway, I just love this bar, my snack. It helps me in the morning, it helps me in the afternoon, get ready for this. So thank you all. I've gotten so much love. So thank you so much for your support. I've been thinking all week here while I was in New York. I'm here to do the Today Show. I did a story about women, food, and hormones yesterday and today, which was super interesting, about how to eat for your health, which I'm a big believer in. Also yesterday I did a piece about younger men wanting to date older women. So that kind of got me excited, gave me some hope. Oh yeah, gotta keep it real. Anyway, thank you. Somebody said, I love the segments on women and diets. They're actually women and food and lifestyle. I hope we get rid of the word diet. It's so detrimental to our psyches. We've all been on, at least I should say myself, been on a diet since I was about 9. And I'm not on a diet anymore. I just try to feel good. Just try to feel good and feel strong. My hair's out of control. But today I wanted to talk to my great friend, Mitch Albom, because I've been so disturbed, like so many of you, from the pictures that we've seen down in Texas with the Haitian refugees. And I always know not to judge a picture just from the picture alone. I don't know the Border Patrol agents that were involved. I don't know the Haitian refugees. I don't know, I'm not living in Del Rio, Texas. And I'm not living in Haiti. But I thought someone who knows Haiti really well is Mitch Albom, who is a spectacular writer. He's a friend of mine, has an orphanage in Haiti. He's been in Haiti for a long time, working, trying to solve a lot of problems in Haiti, while also doing his day job of writing extraordinary books. But I thought it would be helpful for all of us, before we rush to judgment, before we start saying send people home or what are they doing here, that we actually try to understand the situation a little bit better. That's certainly my desire. So that's why I asked Mitch to come on today, who knows more about Haiti probably than almost anyone I know. A lot of people in politics say they know a lot about Haiti, but Mitch is actually on the ground in Haiti and knows a lot about it and knows a lot of Haitians. And somebody just said to me, when is that conversation? That conversation is right now. As soon as I find Mitch, or as soon as Mitch comes on here, it's Mitch. I sent a request. Okay, Mitch, go live with Mitch. Let's try. I didn't see his request, but let's just go live with him. He's from Michigan. I love Michigan. There's Mitch. Hi, Mitch.
You know, at first I thought it was just a nice, leisurely introduction. And then I said, no, she's killing time waiting for me to show up. But I did send her, I pressed all the right buttons. They told me to press the right buttons.
We're all good. God bless you. How are you, first of all? How are you doing?
Fine. I'm fine. Thank you. Very, very fine. And I appreciate the kind words you said about me and our orphanage in Haiti, which you're right. I'm in Haiti every month for the last 12 years. So I have.
So when I've been looking at these pictures, Mitch, you've been on my mind, not just for the extraordinary work that you've done, as you said, over the last 12 years, but I thought, everybody's saying so many different things. And I thought, I need to talk to Mitch. People need to hear from Mitch because Mitch knows more about what's really going on the ground. He's not into politics. He doesn't have a bone in this, so to speak. He just knows what's going on. So help us understand, Mitch, what is going on? How did we get here? And how do we do better?
All right. Well, first of all, there's 2 or 3 different things that are happening at the same time. So this past summer and spring in Haiti has been terrifically difficult. There was the assassination of the president of Haiti, as we all followed. That sent the country into a shaken turmoil. I mean, we really couldn't believe that the highest person in the country could just be assassinated like that. Then, as they were still reeling from that and people were wondering who's running the country and what's going to happen, another earthquake hit, this time up in the Okai region, not so much in Port-au-Prince. Unfortunately, a lot of our kids come from that area, and I've been up there. I was just there a couple of weeks ago to see the devastation, which is every bit as bad as it was in Port-au-Prince when that happened back in 2010. So now you have this earthquake going on. So a lot of people are saying, well, this is so terrible. All these bad things are happening in Haiti. No wonder they're leaving the country and they want to come to America. Mm-hmm. Well, that sentence is true in emotion, but it's not true in fact. The people that you're seeing on these videos in Del Rio, Texas, did not just come from Haiti. It's impossible. How are they going to get there? You can't go from Haiti. You're not allowed to. This is what people don't understand. From Haiti, you're not allowed to travel almost anywhere in the world. A Haitian passport isn't accepted almost anywhere. There are 2 or 3 countries maybe you can go to. And so you can't just leave Haiti and then go to Mexico and try to walk into America. The people that you're seeing in Mexico are Haitians, true, but they left Haiti a long time ago.
So they came through Mexico, correct? And then came up across the border through Mexico, correct?
Well, that's what they're doing right now. But what happened was they left Haiti back in 2014, 2015, 16. You remember the Brazil Olympics were going on. So Brazil needed laborers to help build a lot of their stuff for the Olympics. They were behind. So they opened up the doors to Haitians, and a lot of Haitians went to Brazil to try to find work because, of course, in Haiti, 60, 70% of the population doesn't have jobs, and the average wage is $2 a day. So if you can find work anywhere and another country is willing to take you, you're going to go. So
just pause a second with that, Mitch. I'd like people to just pause a second. I think you said 60, 80% of people have no jobs, and those that do are making $2 a day.
Right.
So let's just let that sink in for a second to absorb that. So they go to Brazil, or many of them go. They're offered jobs. They go there.
They went to Brazil. They went to Chile as well. About 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Chile had an opening, and there were a lot of Haitians in Chile. And then, from what I understand, happened once they built the things that they needed in Brazil. They basically said, okay, that's it. Now, you don't have any more work here. In Chile, it was very difficult to get paperwork and things like that. People could not become permanent residents of Chile. And so you take this situation where, unfortunately for Haitian people, as is true a lot of times, people just don't want them. They just don't want them. And they're
why not? Why?
Well, you tell me. I don't know. I mean, I find the Haitian people are the most loving, wonderful people in the world. I have 53 children that I raise there every month. I think there's a predisposition towards Haitians that they're not even on their own island, which they share with the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic is very antagonistic towards Haiti and towards Haitian people, and don't welcome them there either. So you have these Haitian people who can't stay at home. because there's no prospects, there's no money, there's no jobs. They go to another country thinking that there'll be something, and then it turns out not to be what they thought. And all of a sudden, here comes this message, verbally, like, hey, America just got a new election, and they have a new president, and he's getting rid of all the laws that existed before that kept people like us out. We should go to America, which is in many Haitians' minds kind of a long-range goal anyhow. Obviously, America is very close. There are a lot of, I think the numbers may have changed, but at one point, a couple of years back, 25% of the Haitian economy, Maria, 25% of the Haitian economy was people outside the country sending money back to their families. Can you imagine that? 25% of the economy was people sending money back to that's how the people got their money, because they had relatives, they had sons, daughters, uncles, brothers, sisters in America earning money and then sending it back to their families to spend it. So America.
So Mitch, you're saying, just so I could, and you kind of skipped over that you're kind of taking care of 52 kids a month. I also would like to just pause and bow down to you, really, for your extraordinary work. Mitch writes about this on Bulletin, and you can read his columns about his work in Haiti. That's an aside, but it's really life-changing work. His work in Detroit is too, but his work in Haiti has been long, and it's deep, and it's life-changing. But when you say that, so people had heard that, okay, here's a new president, he's going to make it easier to come into this country. This administration has also offered kind of temporary protection status to Haitians who were here, but that doesn't go to those who are trying to get in here. So there's a confusing message out there. People thought, oh, he's granted temporary protection status to Haitians who are in the United States already, so that must apply to us as well. Yeah. And that was wrong, correct?
That's right. And you have to remember, Maria, that we have access, you and I and people here in the States, to all the information in the world. We've got internet, we've got computer, we can find out. So we can read, well, no, the Biden administration really said this, they didn't mean that, it's nuanced, the people we're talking about here don't have access to that type of thing. English isn't their first language. They get a rumor, somebody says, hey, America is open, we should go there. Here's our chance to go to America, be united with some of our family members there, get to Florida where a lot of other Haitians are. They're going to take that chance. They're not going to read the New York Times and Wall Street Journal and say, well, actually Biden said this, or some other people are saying that. They're not quite sending the same message. If we were hungry and we were desperate and we wanted jobs and word came that there was a possibility of getting that in America, we would probably want to follow up on that and go where we thought it was true. Our ancestors coming to America did the same. I know my grandparents and great-grandparents came on the idea that, hey, America is a land of opportunity. When they got here, it was a little bit different than what they heard of, but they were allowed in. Obviously.
So there's a thing here that says Haitian baseball official. Mitch, can you please get in touch with us? I don't know that organization. Maybe you do, Mitch, but I just saw it come through.
But how to do that? I will. Okay.
Okay. But so now we're seeing the Biden administration saying, okay, we're going to put thousands of Haitians on a plane and send them back.
Yeah.
What are they being sent back to? What is the right approach here from your vantage point? Because you have a vantage point. You've been there a long time. And these pictures are, riling people up on both sides. And it's complex, right? It's complex what's going on. And as I said at the beginning, I'm not living in Del Rio, Texas. So if you're living down there or near there, I get it that you have a different take than me sitting in New York City. But is the answer flying people back? What's the answer, or what is the partial answer?
Well, the flying people back is kind of cruel, because here are people who probably had to go to great lengths to get out of Haiti, went to another part of the world, South America, had to learn a different language, been there for years, and now took a chance to try to come to America. And now it's like a board game where you get returned all the way back to square one. And you saw what happened on the tarmac in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, when a number of dozens of Haitians were being returned, and they didn't like it. And there was a big confrontation and a lot of fighting and things like that. They don't want to be sent back. They left for a reason. So that's kind of cruel. On the other hand, letting people live like they live under the bridge there is cruel.
Yeah.
But I do want to say this. You know, I saw some, I'm not going to name whom, but I saw some of our government officials come out and say, this is terrible the way that, these Haitians are being treated under this bridge, and we can't allow that. Or this is terrible because there's somebody on a horseback who was taking a picture of whatever. If you really want to talk about terrible, talk about how Haitians have to live all the time in Haiti and come and make a difference in the country in Haiti. Don't talk about one little situation on the bridge. The truth is, the way the Haitians were living under that bridge, I see that all the time in Haiti. That's normal life for a lot of people in Haiti. The areas that I just got back from up in Okai and Jeremy, that's how people were living, in makeshift little tents. But they live that way every single day because there's no aid and there's no help and the government doesn't take care of them. And we were visiting people with no water, no electricity, no access to a clean place to bathe or anything like that. And that's every day of their lives, not underneath the bridge in Del Rio, Texas. So if you want to help Haitians, help Haiti, help Haitians, help Haiti become a better country. When the UN left Haiti a few years ago after the earthquake, and a lot of people don't know this, that's when things started to fall into great disarray in Haiti. For about 6-7 years after the earthquake, things were fairly stable relative to the kidnappings and the danger on the street and the political upheaval because the UN presence was there. When they left, because they said, well, we're here too long now, it's time to go, all of a sudden, all these bad headlines started happening in the last few years. And quite frankly, there needs to be some kind of presence from America in Haiti to try to stabilize things, or otherwise people are going to keep living like they live under that bridge.
So how
all
do
the time.
You're talking about having a presence. The United States should have a presence. And before I say that, Mitch's orphanage accepts donations. You can contribute to him. You can follow him on bulletin.com, where he writes about his work and about the orphanage. I've contributed to it. I know there's a lot of worthy organizations out there, but his work, as I said before, is life-changing, and they need donations to continue saving lives and helping Haiti rebuild. Now, you're saying, Mitch, here, like America needs to have a presence. We're fresh off of a botched American presence in Afghanistan, or botched, but Americans saying, look, we don't want to be in these countries. We have people struggling in the United States. We can't get people, vaxxed. We can't get people back to school. We can't get people back to jobs. Why are we talking about Haiti? Tell the audience why Haiti matters to them.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm not an advocate for America or anybody else to go into somebody else's country and say, okay, we're going to run it. Right. Having said that, most Americans probably don't realize that that's exactly what America did for about 15 or 20 years at the early part of the 20th century. We ran Haiti. I don't know if anybody knows that, but from like the end of World War I until into the 30s, we were in charge of Haiti. So we have a history there. We had our
responsibility.
Yeah, we have a history there. We helped write their constitution. And so it's not like we've had nothing to do with Haiti. They're very close to it. They're an hour and 20 minutes off of our shores by an airplane. They're right on the other side of Cuba. They're important geographically, and they're important in the connection of American history. And I'm not saying we should be in there in some kind of political presence or running their government, but we need to do more than just send some aid too. There is a value to having either us or an international community, the United Nations, or someone there as a guiding force, a set of eyeballs. People keeping track of that things are fair and that things don't get out of hand, because things tend to work better that way until Haiti can get on its own feet. And I'm not absolving Haiti. Anyone who knows the history of Haiti knows that there's a history of corruption within the government that goes back many, many, many years. But Haiti is also the first and only country to have a successful slave revolt where they took back their own country. It's the only time in the history of the world that slaves actually said, we're not putting up with this anymore, and took back their country long before we did away with slavery here in America. And that was in 1804. And they took back their country. It's the first independently free-run, black country on this side of the world. And for that, they got punished because nobody wanted to deal with them because countries around them, including America, were still using slavery. And they said, we don't want to deal with Haiti. That we don't want to give people any ideas. And so they paid a price for being independent from 1804 going forward. And it seems like they never stopped paying the price. All I can tell you, Maria, and as you said at the beginning, I'm not a political person, and I'm not trying to state political policy, and I don't want to step out of my lane. I care about people, and I care about humanity. And I have 53 children there currently. I mean, we've had many more because a number of them are here in college. We don't adopt our children out. We take them in from families that have suffered from earthquakes or fires or floods, or just death or premature death. And these are kids who they've been abandoned, and they've been left, some of them left to die out in the woods under trees, or abandoned at malnutrition centers or tuberculosis centers, and nobody comes back for them. For 2 years, they live in the hallways on the floor, nobody holding them, nobody speaking to them. And we bring these kids in, and if I tell you, and then one day I'm going to get you to come down and spend time with us there, Maria, because
I would love to
have you see it. These are the most loving, open, curious, happy kids that you will ever meet. And I see the difference that one person and all the people that we have working with us can make in a country like that. And I see the difference between when you give love and attention to people who have been forgotten and abandoned, how they thrive. And I try to do that on a small level with children. And I think we can do that on a larger level as a country, and stop making Haiti feel like they're always at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to options or alternatives or worldview. They're not a bleep hole country, as they were referred to by a previous president of ours. It's a wonderful country with a great history, and it just needs a break. And the people who are being returned there were people who were trying to find a break in the first place. And it's just ironic that they made this long journey out of their country and up through South America and come to the doors of America, and then are being sent right back to square one in Haiti, where there's no prospects for them and no jobs and no hope.
Several people I know asked the question, why should the United States be involved in Haiti? I think Mitch answered that from his vantage point. I think reminding us that we've been involved there. We were deeply involved to the point where, as you said, co-authored or wrote the Constitution there. We were involved. And you're not advocating for the United States to run Haiti. What you're advocating is to help them get on their feet. Mitch is helping individuals get on their feet on a daily basis. And I think I was reading, Mitch, the other day that human migration is really at a high point, 20-year high point. There's just, due to climate change, poverty, joblessness, all over the world. And I've heard many people say, everybody's trying to come into the United States. If we make an exception for the Haitians, we have to make an exception for the Central Americans, the Africans, the list goes on and on and on. And so I would like you to speak for a second to that, to this kind of belief that, well, we have to have stronger borders. Those Border Patrol people are doing their job, and we can't just make, exceptions in this case, regardless of our past history. How do you counter that argument?
Well, if I had the single answer to that, I would have written up an immigration policy, and I'd be considered the smartest guy in the room.
Amen.
I think that all anybody looks for from any country is consistency. If I want to go and move to Australia, I can't necessarily, because, they say, well, unless you're bringing something here that somebody in Australia doesn't have, then you're not going to give you citizenship here. I mean, I'm just picking that country out of the blue.
Yeah.
There are many other ones. And that is the policy of the country. I think what's probably confusing people in our country is that there seems to be, depending on where the border is, or depending on where you're coming from, there's one policy here, there's another policy there. There's I live in Detroit, so we're actually north of Canada, as you know, and we drive back and forth to Canada on a daily basis here, because Windsor, Canada is 5 minutes across the tunnel. We've got people who have families, they haven't been able to see them for a year and a half because of the COVID thing. You literally are 5 minutes away and you can't get across the river between us and Canada. And yet then they see the southern border and people are just literally walking through. And then I know when I try to get some of my kids who are sick or need medical care, try to get them to come to America, I know the process I have to go through. I've got to go to the embassy. I've got to talk to people left and right, file paperwork there in Haiti. And many times we don't get approved, even after all of that, to try to just get somebody to come get a medical visit. And yet there are other cases where you see people are on the southern border are just being given, asylum or an appointment and come back in 3 or 4 years and we'll check
Yeah.
on your asylum case. And meanwhile, you can live here in the country. So I understand why people are saying, what is the immigration policy of the United States of America? When, I think many people labor under the idea that you come here, you do your paperwork, you wait 7 years, and you can become a U.S. citizen. Because we remember our grandparents telling us that's how it worked or whatever.
Yeah.
But it isn't that simple. There's like level here, level there, level here, level there, exception to this, exception to that, green card, visa, asylum seeking, appointment, people who come across and just are lost to the system. So I think like anybody else, most Americans just want to know what's the official policy. And if that's it,
Yeah.
all right, then that's what we want to stick by. But don't have a different set of rules for this group or that group or this time or this moment in time. And I think that's probably where most of the frustration comes from.
I think that so consistency in any relationship is the most important thing. Trust, consistency, and being able to count on the other person. And I think there is so much confusion, you're right, between this administration, the prior administration, what's the temporary protection status, what's asylum, who can come in, how do you get in? And so for those kind of also yelling about the, they see this picture, this one picture of a Border Patrol agent and beating a Haitian refugee, and everybody screaming at the Border Patrol person, screaming at the Haitian thing. And it just shows the divide is in the picture almost.
Right.
What do we say? Do we say like, that is a picture in a moment? Let's not focus on the picture. Let's focus on the policy. Let's focus on where these people are going and how we can help kind of get them on their feet. Or do we say, outrage,
No.
focus on the picture?
My humble opinion is, and having worked in journalism for many, many years, I understand how a picture can be misinterpreted, how a quote can be misinterpreted, how a moment in time can be misinterpreted. I wasn't there. I wasn't the person on that horse. I don't know if they were using the reins of it. Wasn't a whip. I mean, I've heard that word used, and I said, wait a minute, it's not like a circus where somebody's got a whip and they're trying to whip an animal. But I think an awful lot of people have jumped on that photograph and decided to make that the focus of their outrage, when there's been stuff going on down there every day that you could be outraged about, and the situation that goes on in Haiti on a daily basis you can be outraged about. And again, I guess as someone who's in Haiti all the time and has children and takes in children who have been victims of the terrible system that the Haitian government and the Haitian system is, I say that's what you're going to get outraged about? This photograph about a guy on a horse who might have been, lost his temper or something like that. That's what you're going to say. This is the injustice that's being done to these poor Haitians. There's a lot of injustice that's going on with Haitians that doesn't have to do with that photograph, that nobody's doing anything about. When we went up to Okai and to Jeremy and delivered to the families of some of the kids that we've taken in who lost their homes, that were flattened. I mean, I saw, rubble. It was just rubble of what people used to live in, and they had nothing and weren't eating anything. And we bought food, we bought tents, we bought everything we could carry, bags of water and solar lights and things like that. Whatever dent we could make. And I said to them, so who's come here to help you? And they said, you're the first people. This is a month after the earthquake. You're the first people we've seen who have given us any help at all. Now, that's something to be outraged about. If you want to help Haitians, try to figure out how is it that me, coming from Detroit and traveling, with our group I took some of my kids with me and traveling up 10 hours car ride distance up to these towns and going through these little areas with stuff on our backs, and we're the first people that they've seen to get any help at all after a month from the earthquake. That's something to be outraged about, not a particular snapshot of some moment in time at a confrontation at a border. To me, anyhow, if you're going to get upset about the Haitian situation.
That is so heartbreaking, and that should redirect us. Mitch, finally, if you could sit with President Biden right now, what would you say?
With regard to Haiti?
Yeah. Regard to what's going on in
I'd
W.A. Texas.
say if you have 48 hours, President Biden, come with me and I'll show you something in 48 hours, and then your heart will take you where you need to go. Anybody's. Because I believe in the goodness of people. And I think when people see, and I've watched it, Maria, I've watched people come with me. You know, like I say, I'm there every single month, and I've brought people down over the 150 trips or whatever that I've taken who have come with me. And in 24 hours, their whole attitude, their whole preconceptions about what they thought they were going to see, the people has changed. And they're all like, how do I help? How do I help? And I think
How
most
do people help you? How do people help you?
Us? It's very simple. The name of the orphanage, the Have Faith Haiti Orphanage, and they can go online to havefaithhaiti.org, havefaithhaiti.org, and they can see the history of our place, all of our children. We do not adopt children out. 100% of the money we get goes right to the kids. There's no money comes to me or anybody at the top of the organization. Everybody volunteers their time. And so they can know that money goes to feeding, educating, nurturing, and loving the kids, all of whom, by the way, have college scholarships waiting for them here in the United States. That's something I've, knock wood, have been very proud of. And all 53 of them have earmarked scholarships, and all they have to do if they make the TOEFL exam, then they can get in. And they go to school here in the state of Michigan. And we have a wonderful relationship with 14 colleges here. And I have 4 of them are already in university right now. One is about to graduate with a 4.0 and headed to medical school. And he's going to be our doctor when he graduates and come back and be our doctor. And next September, I got 6 more coming to college and 7 after that, the year after. So we're trying to change the trajectory of these kids' lives. But interestingly, as you're talking about immigration, our goal, and our kids know it, is to make Haiti a better country. And they know they're not coming to America to go to college and then like springboard into America. They are obligated to return to the orphanage after they're done with their education and work at the orphanage for 2 years and make the orphanage a better place. And then they go into Haiti and make Haiti a better country. That's how you improve a country. That's how you stop races of immigration trying to get to our borders, because there's no hope in there. Now, the average Haitian doesn't want to live in America because American land is better or American weather is better or anything. It's quite the contrary. Haiti's a beautiful country. Haiti's got great weather if you like warm weather. But they go because there's no opportunity in their own country. And so they come to ours because they say, you've got opportunity. I'll never forget it. You've got 20 seconds. I was down in a part of Haiti one time, and a guy was trying to sell me something on the street. And he was really aggressive. And he went, take the ticket. And I said, no, I'm good. And he stopped and he said, you're good? You're good? He said, I want to be good. You're good. I want to be good. That's why I'm selling this stuff. I want to be good too. And it stuck with me in my head. I said, he's so right. You know, like I just say, well, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. My life's okay. I don't need to buy that. And he said, yeah, that's what I want to be too. I want to be good. I don't want to be selling trinkets on the street here either. And so the difference between what we take for granted for our opportunities and what they have in a country like Haiti, it's infinitesimal, the distance between those two things. And so if we can create opportunities within Haiti, and that's what I'm trying to do for the kids there, that they can come back and make their country better. And one day, one of our kids is going to be president of that country. And they're going to say, what privilege did you have that you got there? And they're going to say, I didn't have any. I grew up in an orphanage. And that's when we'll have come full circle on this thing, and in terms of providing opportunity. And that's the best thing. That's what I would tell the president and anybody else. You know, if you can be involved in providing opportunities for people within their own country, you're not only going to help them, you're probably going to stop some of this, you know, gold rush to try to get to ours, because, you know, people like to live in their own countries if they have opportunity to do so, you know, safely and healthily.
Mitch, Albom, I mean, I speak to a lot of people, but very few people make me well up with tears. I just am such an admirer of yours, and I'm so in awe of the work you do, and never doubt that one person can change the world. Never doubt that a person can change another person's life. Mitch has been doing it, is doing it. You can support him. You can help him through his organization to continue that work. You can read about his work on Bulletin. You can follow his work. He writes about it. There's not a better writer out there. So he tells the story. And I think that's what's really what you said about what you would say to President Biden. That could be said to any and each and every one of us. Put your heart in this story, not your mind, not your preconceived notions, not what network you're watching. Just put your heart there. Put your heart there. And if it touches your heart, go to Mitch. And he's there. He's making a difference while everybody else is screaming. He's on the ground. So I want to thank you, Mitch. I'm going to send you some more money. And I hope I want to come with you.
Yeah, do that.
Sometime. And he's doing great work in Detroit. And I have no doubt that one of your kids or one of your young adults will run that country. And what a day that'll be. So that's right. So let's not get outraged or like, maybe the picture will pique your interest. But if you want to make a difference, there are people on the ground there that you can support, help. And I guess you could even go with you there.
Yeah.
So there's
well,
that.
I'm looking forward to our internet isn't very good. But it would be great to do one of these one day and you say, I'm Maria Shriver and we're at the Have Faith Haiti Orphanage.
It'll happen. Trust me.
Yeah.
It'll
Right.
happen.
Thank
you, Mitch, so much. Thank you for joining us. And we will put this up in the Sunday paper. We will direct people again to Mitch's orphanage, to his work, and connect you because we're at the Sunday paper. We're big supporters of his and big believers in his work. And I hope if you check it out, if you don't know about it already, you'll pass it on. So thank you, Mitch. I know you've got a lot on your plate. So thank you for taking the time to
You're welcome.
help us understand this situation, which is what we all do. So bye, Mitch. I'll say goodbye to everybody else. I think that's really important to listen to somebody who's been there for years, for decades, who's not a Democrat, a Republican, a pro and anti, who's just a human being, whose heart is on the line, whose work is on the line, and who tells it to us straight. And I think that's such a powerful point of view. I always try to do these conversations to get above the noise, to get above the outrage of the day, and just have a conversation that will touch your heart and maybe get you to take a moment to think about how we got to where we are and how we can get out of where we are. And $1 goes a long way. $2, 50 cents, whatever anybody can do to help Mitch is really, great. He's really a terrific human being. And as I said, it's been on the ground there. And I'm so glad so many of you are putting hearts up. He's really you're saying, such a selfless person. He really, really is. And thank you. He's a real architect of change, somebody who sees a problem and imagines a different way forward. He is a light. He's moving humanity forward. So, as he said, there's so much to be outraged about in Haiti. And therefore, there but the grace of God go all of us. I always say that when I'm talking to anybody, there but the grace of God go I. So thank you all on Thursday for joining me here. I'm going off to do Hoda's podcast. And I hope you will subscribe to the Sunday paper if you don't already. I love that somebody just said, I now understand what's happening in Haiti. That's really big. Then we did good today to just try to help explain why you see the pictures that you do now, and gives you some understanding of how we got here. And I think also a really valuable point is people want to live in their own country. We know people want to live in their own home. They want to make their home better. And how do you do that? So that's a great, I want to be good too. As he said, the man selling trinkets on the corner said to him, I want to be good too. That's something that we all have in common. We want to be good too. We want to be loved too. We want to be seen too. We want to be understood too. And many of us, that's an easier road for some than others. So go out today, be a light. That's the way to move humanity forward. See yourself as a healer. See yourself as someone who can make a difference. And don't doubt that. That's why we're all here. And align yourself with people like Mitch Albom, you know, doing unbelievable work. Thank you all. Yeah, you're right. We want to be safe too. Obviously, safe, seen, supported, secure. Those are my S words. So thank you to Mitch Albom, Mama Researcher. Thank you for your questions. You're right. Let's be a light. Yeah, let's be a light. And thank you, Terry, saying she saw me on Hoda and Jenna and has books. Donate to havefaithhaiti.org. That's Mitch's organization. We'll post that up. And make sure any of you who can give. And I'm sure there's so many ways to give that aren't monetary. That's always important to remember. So many ways each of us can give that have nothing to do with money. So I always say that to people when I'm out working on behalf of the Women's Alzheimer's Movement or Special Olympics. There's so many ways to give that have nothing to do with money. And sometimes it's just a conversation that changes a person's life. So anyway, okay, enough of that. Anyway, God bless you all. Thank you so much. Please post this interview. Someone's reminding me, please post it, share it, pass it on, pay it forward. You're a great community. Thank you so much for joining me here today, this kind of cloudy day in New York City. God bless you all. Thank you. Boom.